Oh my God, Becky, could you imagine knowing that you're going to lose $100,000 owning a car for 5 years? That's pure insanity! That new baby. That new car smell can cost you a boatload of money if you bought one of these 5 sports cars that depreciate faster than a rock at terminal velocity.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
Yeah, once you drive one of these high-end sports cars off of the lot, you end up burning through more cash than if you were to just take a shovel with $100 bills and throw it into a furnace. And you're gonna wanna stick around because number 5 on this list, any sucker that bought that car new would have lost over $100,000 if they sold it today. And the first car on this list, the one that depreciated the least, is the 2014 Audi S5. Now the Audi S5 is a high-performance variant of the A5. And you know what's nice? A little supercharged 3-liter engine pushing out 333 horses and 325 foot-pounds of torque. Good for a 0 to 60 run in under 5 seconds. And all that power is put down to the ground via the legendary Quattro all-wheel drive system, which also keeps the pudgy 3,924 pound curb weight in check. Plus, aesthetically, the A5 and S5 get a nod from me for being one of the most beautifully designed coupes ever made. So you'd think that these cars would hold their value quite well, wouldn't you? Well guys, just like the first time that you were fooled by a padded bra, looks can be deceiving. Yep, okay, so here is the graph, and it goes back to 2014 because, again, this video is about the first 5 years of depreciation and which cars depreciate the most. So if you were to buy this Audi S5 of 2014 back in July of 13, when they first came out for roughly 57K, and you were to hold on to it for 5 years, well, you would have lost over 50%, 51% in the first 5 years. Insane. Next on the list is the Mercedes SL 550. Now the Mercedes SL may be German, but it speaks the international language of wealth fluently. And whether you're gonna spend your day at the Playboy Mansion or FaceTiming Kanye with the top down, AC blowing, and the cooled seats running at full chill, you'll be right at home in the SL. But here's the thing, if you piss off a playmate or Kim Kardashian gets jealous that you're taking up too much of Kanye's time and jumps in her neon yellow Mercedes G500 4x4 squared to chase you down and give you a spanking, the SL 550 will get you out of trouble just as quick as it got you in it. Because the 429 horsepower, 4.7 liter twin turbo V8 will knock out 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. And it will cruise like it's on the fluffiest cloud at 159 miles an hour. I'm sure Kim can hit hard, but you know what hits harder? Depreciation on the SL. That was a bad joke, I'm sorry, but if you were to buy an SL in late 2013 for roughly $110,000, hold on to that bad boy for 5 years, and it would be worth 52 grand, or you would have lost 52.6% owning that bad boy for 5 years. Oh baby, next up on the list is a BMW M5. And the 5th generation of M5 could be ordered with a 6-speed manual transmission, which is extremely cool and almost unheard of in this market segment. And that transmission made it to a 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8, producing a whopping 560 horsepower, will barbecue 0 to 60 in just 3.7 seconds. But what really sets the M5 apart from the pack is how well tuned the chassis is. With on-center steering, crisp turn-in, and virtually non-existent body roll makes this big body sedan feel much more flickable than the 3,487 pound curb weight. And it's almost as flickable as the $100 bills you'll be flicking towards depreciation for the first 5 years that you own it. Well, back in 2014, you would have paid almost $94,000 for a F10 M5. And holding on to that bad boy for 5 years, well, it's worth less than half that. It's lost over 54% of its value, and it's worth $42,800 or so. Not the ideal investment, but probably was fun to own. Oh, and Audi didn't want to be outdone, so they built an M5 competitor that would lose more money than the M5. And guess what? They succeeded! Yeah, the Audi S6 is that kind of car that when you get into it, no matter what the speed limit, it always feels slow. I found that in BMWs, it feels like you're going fast, but to get more out of the car, you actually have to kind of coax it. And with Audis, especially the S6, it feels extremely comfortable well into the fun side of 100 miles an hour. Maybe that has to do with the 420 horsepower twin turbo V8 that has a seamlessly deep power reserve, which pushes the micro land yacht from 0 to 60 in just 3.8 seconds. But if you had any financial reserves before you bought the car, you probably don't after owning it for 5 years. Now the MSRP for the 2014 S6 is actually about 15 grand less than the F10 M5, but it lost more value over the first 5 years, as you can see here. Almost 57% of its value was lost. Well, ladies and gents, we have a winner. The car that would have lost you $100,000 in the first 5 years of ownership is the Maserati GranTurismo. It's like the word Gran Turismo stands for depreciation guaranteed. Gold chain and hairy chest? extra. Joking aside, I really like the GranTurismo, but they are built right next to Ferraris. And with a 100% chance of something expensive breaking while you own it, the used car values keep plummeting. But for some reason, the temptation to own one is still there. And I generally avoid temptation unless I can't resist it. Because the 4.7 liter V8 sings heavenly notes, and the 454 horses rocket this Italian beauty from 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds. God, this car is so tempting. So I can see why people bought them brand new. But those owners better not get their panties in a bunch when they realize that 5 years of pleasure with an Italian supermodel cost them over $20,000 a year, which if it was a real Italian supermodel, might not be a bad deal. Well, you've been warned, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it, and it's the depreciation for the 2014 Gran Turismo. Now, you would have bought it new for roughly $155,000, and in the first 5 years, this is like the steepest slide in the history of slides. 65% is gone. 65. Unbelievable. Over $100,000 lost. That's insane. Also, let's switch gears. If you haven't seen the video on 5 turbos that you'll never lose a dime on, well, now's your chance. Go check it out over here. Or you can see what YouTube recommends you watch next right here. Also, if you haven't, please subscribe. But either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.